the second of our 4-part series on innovation, we sit down with Carlos Alba, Head of AI and Digital R&D, to learn more about the company's surprisingly long relationship with artificial intelligence and the growing impact it is having on every aspect of the business.
Welcome to the podcast, Carlos.
Thank you very much, Tom. My pleasure to be here.
So look, we're going to be talking about AI, and given the level of confusion there is around this, as well as an enormous amount of hype, can we start with a definition? What do we mean by AI?
Yes, sure. But in simple words, AI is the ability of computer programs to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence. Okay, so examples of these tasks could be from making decisions, solving different kind of problems, learning from past experiences, or today, being a much trendier topic for the general public, tasks as understanding language, for example. And well, without entering into any technical details, I will keep understanding language for now. We not enter there, but also for sure generating pictures. We see a lot on that, creating songs, videos. Okay, what is clear is that while AI is a science and it's an evolving science being used for decades now. Okay, so vast majority of the world population discovered AI with the unveiling of ChatGPT. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's be clear about that. But ChatGPT from OpenAI or Llama 3 from Meta are examples of AI systems based on large language models. Okay, and this belongs to generative AI. But it is very important to mention that AI is much more than generative AI and ChatGPT. Okay, there are other parts of AI, as deep learning, machine learning, that are not generative AI, but extremely important and useful to solve very difficult problems. And I would like to give you here a couple of examples. Okay.
Great.
First is, and we saw, all of us saw it a few years ago, the vaccine against COVID-19. It is true that we as humans invested a lot of resources, okay? And all, yeah, and also that everybody was aligned on the same objective, which is not necessarily true in all the cases. But the great achievement of accelerating the development of a vaccine from an average of 10 years to 1 year, for sure would not be possible without machine learning. Okay, and I hope that this doesn't get unnoticed. So please realize that ChatGPT did not even exist at that time, and the achievement was certainly remarkable.
Yeah, I often say that AI was very badly branded because people tend to think it means it's intelligent. And because of the hype around generative AI, people entirely focus on that. Yeah, if I could go back in time, I would probably try to rebrand it as cognitive computing. Doing the thinking that used to be done by brains, and obviously brains doing a huge range of different types of thinking. And as you say, most of the value in many ways we've seen from it so far has been around that machine learning and deep learning.
Yeah, for sure, generative AI, it's amazing technology. There is no doubt, there is no doubt about that, right? And for sure, there is a lot of research going now and millions of dollars going in that direction. And for sure, we cannot orbit that. We should not do that. But for me, it's important to keep it clear that even if public in general discovered AI with that, it was with us for decades, and in fact applied to very strategic and key problems of us as humans. I can give you the second example if you want, okay?
Absolutely.
Second example is we only need to have a look to some of the last Nobel Prizes in 2024. So extremely respected people as Demis Hassabis, Geoffrey Hinton. The role of machine learning and deep learning is of paramount importance in these Nobel Prizes, okay? And their contributions to the world certainly predate ChatGPT, okay? So at the end, as in many other disciplines, depending on the type of problem you want to solve, for sure the availability of data that you have and other parameters, you need to use different AI techniques or combination of them also, okay? So believing that generative AI is the panacea for everything is just wrong, okay? That we should be aware. And if you allow me a last point here, there is one of our collaborators in the scientific domain, is Dr. Stephen Boyd from Stanford University. We know him for professional reasons, right? And he asked us a very simple question, and I quote him here, okay? The question is, will you board a plane if you knew that its control systems are based on generative AI? And believe me that the answer is no, and you should not, no, you should not board into that plane, believe me.
Obviously, it's a hugely hot topic, AI, at the moment, and there's research going on all around the world. Given you've got this incredible internal resource, how do you also take advantage of what's going on outside?
Oh, this is a very good question, Tom. Thank you. So yes, for sure, there is one thing that the company allows to us, which we appreciate a lot, and the AI engineers appreciate a lot, which is to keep updated. And for keeping updated and don't get stuck in your technical career, um, from many years ago, we have a strategy that is based in pursuing specific people. So people that are literally making a huge impact in the AI field. Some of them are literally inventing parts of AI, and we fight for getting specific collaborations with these people. For sure, some of them are in very well-known institutions in the world. Some of them are Massachusetts Institute of Technology, some of them could be at Stanford, University College London, for sure. But our strategy there is to pursue specific people because of the knowledge that we have, and we also don't pursue subcontracting things. We pursue to co-create things. So our AI engineers absorb that knowledge, and we absorb that skills and competencies into ArcelorMittal. Okay, so I will not go through all of them, but just to give you an example of the last one that came into our scientific network here was Dr. De Bayan. Dr. De Bayan is an amazing young person, but still being young. He was, I think it was 3 years ago, qualified as one of the top 10 AI influencers in India. Okay,
Wow.
and now we
And that's
know
a
that.
big field.
Oh, it is a big field, and especially, well, now India is also being very strategic for us, and having this type of AI gurus in our network is extremely important for us.
You said a couple of times that the AI has been around for decades. What does that mean for ArcelorMittal's AI journey? When did that start? And actually, why did it start? What was the driver for investing in AI?
Okay. Yeah, this is a question that we receive from time to time, and I will be totally transparent with the answer, but many people gets a little bit shocked that a steel company as ours started to invest in AI so early. Okay, so the company created its first AI team in 2004.
Wow.
Yes, okay. So at that time, it started prudently in R&D as an exploratory topic for sure. But what is more interesting is that the mandate at that time was to focus on business processes, no? So not in manufacturing, okay? So that team was called KING, and it stands for Knowledge Innovation. It started to develop AI algorithms to optimize first logistic routes, for example, or manage the delivery instructions to our automotive customers,
Hmm.
and the associated impact on stocks, because that's a kind of business. What we call flow business is not make to order but make to stock, and well, then to manage what we call in Europe the DLANs in our commercial alliances, what is called customer releases in the Americas. Okay, or for example for demand forecasting for industry products. For sure, with the AI techniques that we had available at that time, and for sure it's a science that is evolving along the years fast. So this team started to provide service and AI solutions first to our operations and commercial agencies in Europe, but then expanded progressively to North America, to South America, and today, based on specific results, it grew significantly, well, to a size that today we think is the right size, and provides a worldwide service. Okay, so I mentioned that it started as an exploratory action,
Yeah.
but the driver behind was always based on a pursuit of delivering more value to our customers. Okay, in a company as ours, we are very customer focused, and that move was very much value driven and for sure not technology driven, even if it started in R&D. Okay,
So
so
let's break that down a little bit. So, you're looking at, for example, how you manage stock levels in a car manufacturer's warehouse of steel parts, and you're saying, can we create a better algorithm by looking at all the data that means that we're never sort of over or understocked. They never run out, but they're also never having to store far too much.
So what is the thing? And for sure, if we start to describe the business case a lot, but we will run out of time. Okay, but just to give you a little bit of context and also to the audience. Um, what is the thing? The thing is that we have thousands of deliveries in terms of final automotive parts.
Yeah.
Thousands. At that time, I'm not sure today about the field, but at that time, only in Europe, probably we were managing from 10 to 12,000 automotive parts.
Wow.
Okay. And that provides a combination of steel grades and many things. So at the end, what happens is that all our valued customers share with us in advance on weekly basis what would be the demand that they expect per part. And as you can imagine, for that amount of parts in the customer service departments in our mills, you cannot put something on the wall to manage all of that because there is no, the Chinese wall would not be sufficient for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So also, that demand, even if we have a schedule agreement, changes from week to week, but the lead times of our products in the production chain, especially, for example, if you go to very advanced products and more added value products as hot dip coated products for automotive, the lead time for that is not a week. So it impacts in the material that you have on your production chain.
Gotcha.
So being able and having algorithms to better manage that, to better predict the future consumption in certain months, allows you to organize much better yourself for having the right delivery service to our customers, but without having your stocks going to the roof. That's basically the case. Okay.
So that clearly delivered results because you're still investing in AI 20 plus years later. Can you give me other examples of how that continuing investment has impacted the bottom line?
Sure, sure. Before we jump to that question, if you allow me, what I would like also to add is that after this very successful experience started as an exploratory action in R&D, then the company decided to try and to replicate this success also in the segments, and also the technology is evolving, it's being more accessible. So today, in addition to R&D, the company has created digital teams in our segments as well. Okay, so we work in full collaboration, but they also hire data engineers, AI engineers, and we have our company digital council composed by representatives of CTO, R&D, IT, and CDOs of several segments to globally coordinate AI and digital as a whole within ArcelorMittal.
So
Okay.
it's a whole company effort.
Sure. It needs to be. It needs to be. It cannot be a solely action in one department. We need also to take advantage of our size, and our size is a competitive advantage. What we learn in one part of the company, it can be transposed to other parts of the company. So all of this we manage relatively well. Okay.
Sure.
So coming back to the question, you ask about impacts along the year. So for sure, along the years, we have been capturing very specific results in most of the geographies we operate. Looking backwards and using AI technology we had available a long time, um, certainly I can share with you many examples, but most of them also evolved as the AI technology evolved. Okay, so um, and because you ask along the years, and I can move, for example, to around 2010 or so. So the business stated at that time that production scheduling had a big impact in our production cost. Okay, so key performance indicators as yield, or throughput, the delivery performance in our industry. Well, I assume in most of the industries, but in our particular industry, due to the supply chain, is largely impacted by how we schedule our production in the value chain. Okay, so we were directed to start looking first at the finishing processes. Okay, hot dip
Right.
galvanizing lines, organic coating lines, pickle tandem mills, and to solve this problem in a different manner, so adding more value, our AI engineers at that time used biomimicking algorithms, and in particular AI algorithms based on the behavior of the ants in the nature to search for food and bring it back to the nest. Okay, so if I would not say in our houses, because we should not have ants in our houses, but maybe to some of you, when I don't know, in a vacational apartment or something, you arrive there and for whatever reason the previous people brought some sugar on the floor or whatever, and suddenly you see ants, and you need to call customer service, right? But the thing is, kidding apart, if you look to the sugar and the ants, you see that after a period of time, the ants go in a straight line to the sugar and come back in a straight line to the nest, which in fact is the optimal path.
Mm.
Okay, so and for this, well, there are ants that are explorers. They use pheromones to converge to the optimal path, and all of this can be mathematically modeled into AI algorithms. Okay, so this technique uses matrices of pheromones and explores new paths, which in our finishing lines means to converge to the sequence of items in the manufacturing processes, which is also optimal. Okay, so we started with that part. But years later, we moved to primary operations. So mainly steel shops. It's a very key production step for us. So the AI technology that we use for the finishing operations, the ant colony optimization, was less useful here. Okay, and we needed to use other evolutionary computation techniques that fit better. But just to provide specific figures, a standard hot dip coating line with vertical furnace cut cost by around, in round numbers, by around $800 per year. And a standard steel shop of flat operations multiplies this by 4 or 5 times. So we are talking about $3 to $4 million per year in one of our flat steel shops.
Wow.
And a collateral effect of that is that the throughput is increased, which is also very good for us. Okay, so in fact, still in 2024, one of the last plants where we implemented this solution achieved its production record, and that was, well, we were very happy with that, as you can imagine. But then another aspect which is important in a company as ours, we have a large footprint, I mentioned before, is the ability to maximize the return by rolling out a solution as much as possible when it is proven.
Yeah.
Okay, so still in 2025, we committed to deploy this solution in one of our most recent plants, or in our most recent acquisitions, which is called ArcelorMittal PESEM, which is located up north Brazil in the state of Ceará. Okay, so that is one example. Another example is quality. Today, well, and you can read about many things in reports here and there, okay, process improvements, quality, etc. Okay, so today, the quality check of many of our tons, and especially those going for automotive, that quality check is done with internal ArcelorMittal models. Okay, and this is very good and avoids defects going to our valued customers. Okay, but much more interesting than detecting production defects is to predict them. Okay, so here for sure I cannot share the specifics, but predicting defects before they happen gives you the possibility to alter production parameters and avoid the defect altogether, and that is
Got you.
super interesting.
So
Okay,
it's
so
one thing using AI to detect defects after they've come off the production line, but actually you've got a model that predicts when they're going to happen, and you can avoid the defects in the first place.
that is the most interesting part, and for sure where well, is the path to go. Okay, in terms of yield or delivery performance, this is critical, and in fact, collaterally impacts also our CO2 emissions as well, because you don't need to relaunch the order, you don't need to downgrade the order. Well, there is a lot of logistics. There is a lot of benefits there. Okay, so one specific example here I can share is related to one of our very high added value products, which is also normally very difficult to produce, right? So it happened less years ago, a few years ago, but as a result of a quality crisis in one of our mills in Europe, we decided to launch this task force and this effort. We pursued this methodology that I mentioned before, and the result of all of that is that we cut the rejection rate. We avoided the quality crisis 100%.
Wow.
For a period of time, we had no defects on mechanical properties for that material. Then for sure, when we look longer, in long term, some of the defects still happen. The system is not perfect, but for sure the reduction in the rejection rate was very remarkable. Okay, so there are many examples looking backwards, but maybe I share one more in a different field of
Absolutely.
in a different field of application, and this field is procurement. Okay, and in particular procurement of scrap. It happened with a very specific request from our leadership in North America. They were convinced that using AI algorithms to support the monthly purchasing of scrap, considering the order books, considering the associated qualities to be produced, the existing inventories, logistics costs, many other parameters, we should be able to cut our production cost significantly. And and they were certainly right. Okay, but here and in the vast majority of the cases, I would like to introduce another topic which is very important. It is key to mention the role of change management. Okay,
Okay.
the AI algorithms for sure they play their role, but in that particular project and in many others, without the proper change management and leadership support, the solution fails. Okay, not technically, but it fails as a whole. So once the algorithms were in place and the right people were using them and the right exchanges with the production units happened, we started to see some months where we did not need to buy any single ton of prime scrap to meet our deliveries. Okay, and when the business calculated the returns of the initiative, it resulted in $30+ million in 3 years. Okay, so
Wow.
there was a lot of impact here. So I mentioned before that today as a company we have evolved and we created digital teams in our segments as well. R&D continues to have several projects in collaboration with them for sure, but also the segments themselves develop AI solutions. We are becoming more mature as a company. Okay, so one field where our segments are putting a lot of effort for sure is safety, and a very good example I can share here is the Red Zone solution developed by our colleagues in Brazil. It's an AI solution that detects and alarms when a person enters in an area that he or she should not be because it's a hazardous place. Okay, and it alerts, it alarms, so the person automatically gets certainly noticed to get out of there. So progressively, our segments are also working more and more in taking advantage of AI for meeting our business objectives.
And how's that working? Is that using computer vision to detect those people?
Oh, sure, sure. Computer vision is an area of focus, and as I said, we have our segments developing specific solutions for many things, especially for the manufacturing processes, while R&D continues to watch certain advancements in the field to continue being the number one or number two to use in the industrial environment certain type of solutions pursuing for differentiation.
Well,
But
let's talk
computer,
about. I was going to say let's talk about R&D then, because you've got a bunch of solutions there that you've talked about. That, as you say, once they demonstrate value, you roll them out as far as possible. You get them
yeah.
into every plant where they can add value. Where's the focus of your research now? What do you see coming down the pipeline where you might be able to add more value in the future?
From a research and development perspective, we have been asked, in this case by the Digital Council, to create our own internal predictive maintenance platform. Okay, we are advanced now. Also, for sure, there is job to do. Our first attempt as a company, in fact, in this field, was to test vendor solutions for this purpose. Okay, but unfortunately, we experienced plenty of disappointments. Okay, the target was to capitalize fast, and for doing it fast, we needed to rely on the promises of some vendors. Okay, we tested many. We tested giants, we tested mid-size companies, we tested the startups, but to be transparent with you and without giving any names, not necessary to do that, we we experienced that most of them at that time failed and did not yield the expected results. Okay,
So
so
these are solutions where you're feeding them sort of historical data or live data, and they should be predicting when a motor's going to fail or when a bearing's going to fail or something like that.
absolutely, and there is a lot. If you Google the concept, there is a lot of advertisement on the topic, and you need to implement our solution. Your reliability will change in 6 months, and certainly we were that sounded attractive to us, and as a company we wanted to go there, but our experience was not very successful. Okay, so just to be clear, only one startup of all the tests that we did properly predicted some failures at that
Wow.
time. Okay, but when we asked for a quotation, scaling up the system to much more number of equipment in one of our mills, the cost went not to the roof but to the moon. Okay, so yeah, so it was at that time when the Digital Council turned to pursue a global internal solution. Okay, so today we can say that we have an internally developed algorithms for and they are ready to predict failures in different type of equipment. We have it for motors, we have it for hydraulic actuators of welders, we have it for fans, so beyond rotating equipment, which is always the first case everywhere. Okay, and we are advanced in the platform itself as well. And this platform is called Sentinel. So these algorithms, when tested in offline mode, which means not running online yet in the mill, but using production data sets from our units offline,
Yeah.
they properly detected failures in the motors and fans when we were testing them. So today, we have these algorithms running online already in 417 motors of the runout table of the hottest mill that we have in Canada, and up to now everything looks good. Let's cross fingers a little bit for this. The algorithms for the actuators in the welder are running online in our operations up north France with 100% failure detection again up to now.
Wow.
And we are testing the algorithms for fans in Brazil, in the region of Espírito Santo. Okay, so as I said, we have for sure work to do. We need to complete the platform. We have to extend the algorithms to additional type of equipment and likely fine-tune the existing ones. But here we need to follow done is better than perfect, because you capture value from earlier moment. But the reality shows that we are predicting right, avoiding already unplanned stoppages that for sure have a negative impact in our production. And remember, the reason for not continuing with the only external company that worked was the astronomical cost they were asking for. So here we are capitalizing on one hand on the unplanned stoppages themselves, but also in large cost avoidance, not cashing out for paying recurrent license and maintenance fees. Okay,
And
so
continuing that process of building your own intellectual property and advantage as well.
Sure, sure. Both aspects here are of critical importance. You mentioned intellectual property. I didn't want to go there a lot, but just because of time, because that's a key point of focus for us. At the end, we also see, unfortunately, that some vendors could act as equalizers in the field, because at the end, it's very fair. They want to maximize their returns, and once that they have developed a solution, they, they, they try to sell it out as much as
Yeah,
possible to our competition. And in fact, if they develop a solution with us, they use our big name for saying, no, this is working, ArcelorMittal, you need to implement it. Yeah, so that happens, okay? So I can give you some other examples where we are embarked as research and development. We are investing significant amount of resources in a field that is critical for us, which is acceleration of product development. Okay, this is very important for us. Today, most of the people have heard about drug discovery, chemical industry, and also for new materials. I will not go into too many details here because it's not the purpose, but I can guarantee you that steel is largely more complex, and mainly because of two factors. Factor number one is the phase transformation that happens in the steel itself.
mm,
Okay, that does not happen in other industries. And factor number two is our value chain. Okay, so the need to process the material through several production steps, and these production steps alter the properties of the steel. So it's not something that you have this step and then you have these input parameters and then you have these outputs. No,
sure.
you need to use AI taking into account the phase transformation and taking into account the different production steps that you need to perform to achieve certain properties at the end in our valued products to our customers.
Yeah,
So
once you create a drug, you put it in a pill or in a carrier liquid, whereas you don't start with a steam, turn it into a
it's
solid, and then process it 4 times before it becomes a product.
it's a super different material to be developed. I
Yeah,
can guarantee you that. Okay, so for this purpose, we have a multidisciplinary approach. It involves for sure our AI engineers, our metallurgists. We are lucky here. ArcelorMittal has some of the best metallurgists in the world. We have process specialists and people in our mills with a lot of experience, colleagues in production for the industrial trial. So we put this multidisciplinary team all together. Um, the topic itself, I hope you understand, I cannot disclose any detail,
sure.
but I can share one figure to exemplify the speed acceleration. Okay, so once we have the right data, because we don't need to be wrong here, similar to implementation of models in manufacturing, implementation of models in our business processes, we need to have the right data also for this purpose. Okay, once we have also the algorithms ready for a particular family of products, and here we mix any kind of model, and also we take advantage of all the knowledge that we had as a company for decades with a lot of physical models that we had as well, mixing uh, to result in what we call hybrid modeling. We can see a factor in some of the products that we are working on already of 5x in acceleration of a new product development. For us, is a very important achievement.
So you can bring a product to market 5 times faster.
For the products for the families of products where we have everything developed, we can see that. Okay,
Yeah,
for
or
sure.
one or in 1/5 the time it used to take.
Yes, that's true. Okay, so for sure we need to continue growing the algorithms for more families, but this collaborative platform where we put together our data sets, our experiments, our product development engineers collaborate from all over the world in the same platform, that is fully developed. Okay, it's
Wow.
ready, and to be honest, that is breathtaking. Okay, another example today, very critical. Okay, we traditionally, most of our high added value tons were made via blast furnace and basic oxygen furnace. So what is called the BF BOF production route. Okay, so these products require very high quality and both meeting the quality and keeping the quality consistently in that production route. But in the route of the BOF today for us is, would say, relatively easy. We have a lot of experience in our mills, in our plants. But then we have the alternative production route that is being discussed very much in the world today, which is the melting of scrap in the electric arc furnaces. Okay, so producing these volumes in what is called EAF, electric arc furnace, melting high quantities of scrap certainly present challenges. Okay, again, in both meeting the quality and keeping the desired quality, being consistent with the quality in the production. So why is this? Because the scrap contains residuals, impurities, and these impurities are not constant either. So you mix different types of scrap, and the characterization of the impurities there is not perfect, and in fact it changes from one scrap to another. Okay,
Sure,
so they vary, and for sure these impurities have an impact in the quality of the product, and especially in the mechanical properties. Okay, so AI in general, and in this case machine learning in particular, are helping us very much in understanding these residuals and what is the associated impact on quality. So this opens a door to us for compensating these impurities and being able to meet the desired properties in this alternative production route. And this is a super strategic topic for us.
I could keep talking to you all day, but we have to wrap this podcast up at some point. So I will just say a huge thank you for talking us through that and giving away what you can without giving away the crown jewels. There's some fantastic stuff going on there. Really appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Thank you very much, Tom. My pleasure, all time. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. Join us next time when we meet Pedro Prendes, our R&D portfolio leader for breakthrough process development, as he shares exclusive insight into the work being done to develop breakthrough process innovations that deliver sustainability benefits and address emerging environmental challenges. Don't forget to click the link in the description to visit the Steelworks website and read, listen, and watch more from the series.